Hey guys, Brent Hull, Wednesday design video. Got a job in Australia, taking a modern house to an arts and crafts ideal. Remember, the arts and crafts, early turn of the century, Frank Lloyd Wright, Gustav Stickley, Green and Green, all working together. They're the first modern style of architecture. So it works. Come check it out. Let me know what you guys think. Got a modern house in Australia, in the outback, long way away, but a interesting project in that they had a modern design and they wanted a arts and crafts form put to it. And so their desire was to kind of take what was this modern house and really turn it into something more arts and crafts. So this house can work, okay? The modern story and the arts and crafts story work because really the arts and crafts is really the first modern style, okay? And so what that means is low pitched roofs, simplicity. It's certainly a break from the classicism that you'd see in other eras. And so the ideals of these styles, which is simplicity, honesty, structural integrity, right? Those things are all part of this same story. And so you'll see that the things I focused on, things I'm working through that are going to communicate that are columns, windows, in the floor plan in particular, just how this house moves and is organized. One, you can see that it kind of stair steps back a number of times. And I'd actually like to stop that. They've got this breezeway going through here, which is an important piece that they want. But look what the stairs are doing. You can see where my pencils are. I'm trying to organize it. But they've got this kind of these waterfall stairs that just kind of go everywhere. And in a classical sense, you're wanting to organize this and you're wanting to frame and put it together. And so you'll see that I'm going to let it stair step, but I'm only going to let it do it once, okay? Instead of 3 times. I'm also going to frame and build the porches and the porch posts with these pedestals that will ground the house in the land and will take native stone and native materials and begin to let it be a part of the architecture and the land that it grows out of. If you look at Green and Green buildings, and Frank Lloyd Wright did this as well, but they would kind of grow up out of the ground. And that's what I think the opportunity is here and what these kind of stones are doing. If you think of the Gamble House and some of those other ones, they had these huge rocks that would kind of move up into the bedrock and the foundation and slowly turn to bricks. That's the same kind of idea here as well. And look at what I did with the windows. You've got these steel kind of openings, these kind of square. Notice that each of those little panes is a square with the steel. And you can still do that, okay? You can still use steel as your material that you want to use there, but we need to tell that story, the arts and crafts, kind of grounded in the tradition of this 3/1, 4/1 deal. And look, this can still be a steel configuration, but instead of having just kind of the square lights that kind of box out these things and a square being your kind of design idea, I want to change it to a rectangle. And changing that kind of element to kind of a lift your eye taller thing, it doesn't get quite as boxy. And so we've got these strong posts here, and look what I've done in the front is I've basically organized this so that when you come up walking up through the house, you are invited, okay? And so what happens here is just kind of weird. Where do I go? How do I get there? What's the entry point? And by establishing this grounding point, by establishing, this entry area here, and, you don't really realize what those pedestals do. You don't really realize how important they are, but they really are these arms that kind of spread out and say, come up this way, and they really are inviting. And so we're going to take these traditional posts, and we're going to put some dovetail joinery to these main beams that go across here. Really, right now, you've got kind of a steel element here, and I want to kind of remind us of where we're coming from. This is still modern. This is still not a totally traditional way of doing the arts and crafts, but we're going to do a screen up here, maybe even a lattice, but this is going to be wood, not steel. And we're gonna have these posts that come up and support this thing, maybe even that tie into the great stone fireplace here. This little side area here that has its own bedroom, you know, I'm gonna put a little wall here and have these steps that go up. It's gonna create a little bit of privacy, which is what's happening here. And that's how you're going to enter up into this area. But going back to this kind of this rambling form, basically you're framing this. Basically you are organizing this. And you don't really realize how organized the arts and crafts era is until you see something modern and rambling that doesn't have clear purpose and focus and direction. And you really don't know how you're supposed to enter this house, because really the front door is right there. And it isn't a very inviting front door. And so by doing it this way, you're inviting people up into this porch, and then you kind of move over here to come into the entry of the house. Again, this isn't traditional arts and crafts. This is kind of a rambling modern version of an arts and crafts that kind of come together, but with windows, with framing, with grounding, okay? This is not very grounded. This is, you know, poles and beams on stilts. This was a fun project. I don't think the homeowner loved it. They kind of wanted something a little more modern. I thought this was a great way to tie the two of them together. If there's fire danger or fire things that are going on, there's ways of handling this overhang so that can still be a safe way of handling things. But this was a fun project. This is I think a cool house, a house that I would like to live in. But there in the outback of Australia, that'd be pretty fun to drive up and come up to that house. I think there's a lot to explore and a lot to look at. Making the arts and crafts, I think grounding it with the materials into the ground instead of being a house on stilts, letting it grow up out of the ground, I think strengthens it. I think it makes it better, more beautiful. Let me know what you guys think. I'm Brent Hull. Thanks for watching.